Chet Holmgren is the truth. After being drafted with the number 2 overall selection in this year's draft, Chet has absolutely been stuffing the stat sheet during Summer League so far. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm Juicy Sports, I make opinionated NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. When Chet Holmgren was originally getting drafted, it was pretty clear that he had all the talent in the world. He was a 7-footer that's perfect for the new age NBA. The fact that he had a very good 3-point jump shot, alongside with the fact that he was very mobile and versatile offensively, just made him a phenomenal talent offensively. And when the Thunder drafted him with the 2nd overall selection, a lot of people had very high hopes for him, and obviously still do at this point. But a few games into Summer League so far, Chet has been playing at a very high level, and it's definitely very promising for a lot of Thunder fans around the league. Now, you can definitely make the argument saying that just because Chet is playing well in Summer League, it doesn't necessarily mean all that much, and once the NBA comes around, it doesn't mean that Chet is going to be a really good player, obviously. And to that, I would say I 100% agree with you. Just because you play well in Summer League, obviously it has no real effect or little real effect on your play in the NBA, because we've definitely seen a bunch of players in the past that played very well in Summer League, but once the NBA came around, they didn't necessarily play all that well. And the best example of this, at least in recent memory, to my knowledge, is Kevin Knox, where in Summer League, Kevin Knox actually played at a very high level, but once the NBA came around, obviously he didn't necessarily play all that well, and obviously he's not even on the Knicks anymore. But while that argument is certainly very true and certainly very valid, I still of course think that the fact that Chet is playing very well in Summer League is obviously a positive for him going forward. And at least for me personally, I definitely am very encouraged to see these performances from Chet. And it's not even necessarily because he's playing well in general, it's more so the way he's playing out there. Offensively, he's definitely showing a really nice ability to score for himself from all 3 levels, but he's also showing a very nice understanding of the game, and he even is showing a pretty nice passing and playmaking ability. While also defensively, as I mentioned, he's also playing pretty well as well, which is definitely very encouraging going forward. But even besides his Summer League performance, I think the fact that he is playing with the OKC Thunder is a very valuable thing to Chet going forward for a few different reasons. But probably the first and main reason is the fact that Chet will be playing with Josh Giddey, and this is something that I mentioned in a couple other videos, but I think this duo could be very deadly to the rest of the league due to the fact that Josh is such a good passer and playmaker and has proven the ability to do that at a very high level in his rookie season, but also combined with the fact that these guys can either run the pick and roll or the pick and pop due to the fact that Chet is so versatile offensively. And typically when you have a phenomenal passer and playmaker and a big who has a very diverse offensive skill set, now you're talking about a very difficult duo to defend. Now obviously both of these guys are extremely young and have a ton of improving to do and a ton of learning to do at the NBA level, but I just think early on, based upon the talent that these two guys do have and based upon the skill set that they do have, I think they could potentially be a very good duo going forward. Now another reason why I think the Thunder are a really good fit for Chet is the fact that they aren't expected to win right now. And the reason why that's a benefit for him is obviously Chet has a ton of pressure on him already for being the number 2 overall selection. But the fact that people don't necessarily expect the Thunder to win right away is going to be a huge benefit to Chet, taking a lot of pressure in that sense off his shoulders. And if the Thunder are able to make the play-in game or even the playoffs, although I don't necessarily think that's likely whatsoever, but I'm just saying if that were to become the case, there would be a ton of praise going Chet's way. And there's always going to be a ton of less pressure on you if your team isn't expected to win that season compared to if you're expected to win an NBA championship, of course. So I definitely think that is a huge benefit to a young player like Chet. But another reason why I think the Thunder are a really good fit for Chet is the fact that they have so many different young players on the roster, and it would just be so much easier for Chet to connect with some younger guys as opposed to if he was getting drafted to a team that had a bunch of older players. And the reason why that's important is if you have a great chemistry off the court, you're probably going to have a pretty good chemistry on the court as well, and it would just make life a lot easier for not only Chet, but also for the rest of the players on his team as well. And I'm expecting this OKC Thunder offense to be very loose and free-flowing, so I definitely think that would be a very, very big benefit to Chet going forward. And the last reason why I think the Thunder are such a great fit for Chet is the amount of draft picks they have going forward. And when you have that many draft picks, you're more likely than not gonna strike gold on maybe one or maybe even a couple of different guys due to the fact that they have so many different picks. So if the Thunder are able to bring in some more meaningful players and maybe even another star going forward, that's just going to be so beneficial to Chet going forward because it would take a ton of pressure off his shoulders and just make life a lot easier, not only for him, but of course for the rest of the players on the team. So having that many draft picks going forward is of course very exciting for a young player like Chet and for the rest of the roster on this team. But now, what are my personal expectations for Chet? Do I think he's going to be a superstar going forward? Do I think he's going to be a draft bust going forward? Or do I think he's somewhat in the middle? Well, of course, at this point, it is extremely early, but what I will say is there's a bunch of things to like about Chet, but there are at the same time a couple things that I don't like about Chet. But some things that I do like are the things that I mentioned before in this video, like the fact that he's very diverse offensively, but not only is he diverse, he's also very good in all those different aspects of his game, while also being pretty good defensively, at least showing good defensive instincts. He's also extremely confident in himself, which is something that I mentioned in a couple of my videos, but whenever you have all the talent in the world, that's just step one. You also have to have a ton of confidence in yourself, because if you completely lose all your confidence, no matter how skilled you are offensively, it doesn't really matter. You're probably not going to play all that well, but if you have a ton of confidence in yourself, you're going to play much better than your skills would even suggest. But if you take a player that's extremely confident in themselves, combined with a ton of skill that they may have, now you're talking about a very, very good player. And I think Chet could potentially be one of those guys going forward. But some things that I don't like about Chet is the fact that he's extremely skinny and could potentially get injured going forward. Now, obviously, this is a double-edged sword, and the fact that he is skinny makes him so versatile offensively and makes him so mobile offensively and defensively, but at the same time, he's going to get bullied in the post if he does get there, and there's also the potential for injuries going forward, which is something that I don't like, of course. But overall, if I had to guess at this point, I would probably say Chet is going to be a very, very good player going forward, and at the very least, I can see him as an all-star level guy. But of course, who knows, I could be wrong. Maybe Chet would be a much better player than I'm suggesting, or at the same time, maybe he would be a draft bust and be a much worse player than I'm suggesting. Only time will tell what does end up happening. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Chet Holmgren will become a really good player in the NBA one day, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these two videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out, guys.